WisconsinEye's Campaign 2024 programming is sponsored by Wisconsin Counties Association, Nicolet National Bank, Wisconsin Hospital Association, Operating Engineers Local 139, the Wisconsin Realtors Association, the Wisconsin Laborers District Council, and North Central State's Regional Council of Carpenters. To support programs like this, please consider a tax-deductible donation at wiseye.org/donate or by texting WisEye to 44321.
Kristin Alfheim of Appleton is the Democratic candidate in the 18th Senate District. The election is November 5th. Kristin Alfheim, welcome to WisconsinEye.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for participating in our candidate interview. What's your campaign's key message? Why are you running for this office?
Yeah, I run for the same reason I did last time. The answer is I think the public is looking for people that are looking to be pragmatic, work through decisions, work for the people, and kind of the bipolar action that's been going on standing at different ends and actually get things done. I think that it's time to move forward in Wisconsin. These maps are giving us a great opportunity to be held accountable. People expect action when we get to Madison. Forward progress that would actually make it better to be a member of the society, member of our communities. We want things to get done. I'm the person that likes to do that. I've known for my problem solving and my relationship building. So I want to take those skills to Madison and actually work for the people of Wisconsin in moving some of these issues forward.
So if you're elected, what's an example of a bill that would be a priority for you to introduce?
I think there's so many bills. I think as a freshman coming in, it's not about picking one bill, but what I would like to see, my job, is to look for those that are willing to take that half a step towards the center. I think there are things that need to get done. Neither side has all of the answers. Neither side is always wrong. It's time we start talking about every bill, and I hope the bills are coming from both sides, not just the majority, and we work through them and find the positives in every bill and then work through to pass things that make it better for Wisconsin, whether it be education, whether it be environment, whether it be workforce. There are things that we must work on together and not take wins and losses, but move forward for the people.
If you're elected, you'll be coming into the Senate during a biennial budget year. The state is projected to have more than a $3 billion surplus. What would be your top two priorities for use of that surplus?
Yeah, I would love to talk about where we are and where that budget surplus has come from. We've got a track record now that it seems to be there every time we have these conversations. And where has it come from? Part of it is actually the sales tax. Obviously things are more expensive, therefore the tax revenue coming in is higher. But also there's a number of programs that we have not funded properly in well over a decade. We have to look at that. We have to be realistic. It's not about hoarding cash. In any organization, the goal is not to have a massive amount of capital in your reserves at the end of the season, which means we are probably not investing back into the state at the pace that we should. Again, I would love to see our municipalities and our school systems actually get balanced out back to where they are functioning and really providing the service and the results that we expect.
In your answer about the surplus, you don't talk about taxes. Are tax cuts or any kind of tax reform a part of your campaign?
I think the best way that we can impact taxes actually has to do with on a local level. Again, when you hold back revenue from the state to our school systems, to our municipalities, that forces the school systems and the municipalities to have to then raise taxes because everybody still expects their services. So the best way to control those rising costs are to actually fund the systems that we count on a regular basis. So again, doing the right thing in rebalancing where the dollars are going, putting some of those back, I don't have a problem leaning up a system to make sure it's running efficiently. We all want that. But once we've done that, you have to let the gear run again so that it's providing the outcome that we want. I think everybody would say in their municipalities that they are missing services that they perhaps used to have, or they wish they could have something. Schools, the same thing. Well, some of those we need to go back, and we don't have the dollars inside of the municipalities and the school districts to provide it, which leads to referendums. It leads to rising property taxes. We don't have to do that if the revenue sharing were actually being done properly from Madison.
You talk about schools maybe needing some increase in funding in this next budget. K-12 education is the leading issue for many Wisconsin voters. What do you think is going right, and what maybe needs to be fixed in our K-12 education system?
There's a lot going on. I think, number one, I don't think there's anybody in the school system that doesn't want a wonderful outcome for every child that's in our school. That we all should want that. Every community is based on our kids. I really believe kids are our infrastructure. We have to make sure they're fed, we have to make sure they're housed, they're healthy, and they're educated. That is both an obligation and an opportunity that we have in our community. And I think that people don't realize the challenges that exist. Everything that comes in, we have 16 different languages that are spoken in the Fox Valley, 2 out of our 4 school districts. 16 different languages, which is wonderful for workforce. We need these people coming in, but that also means it's a little harder to help them find success in school. We have 40% of the families in the Appleton School District, and I believe Menasha is the same, 40% qualify for free meals, 50% for reduced meals. So there are challenges in the school system that we have to realize it does cost a little bit more to give every child the opportunity to find success. But if we don't help the kids find success, there will be more cost in the long run. Costs will follow children if we don't get them what they need when they're young. So I really believe that education, K through 12 especially, is an investment in our community. Everything we want to fix in the world will be better if we can educate kids and give them a healthy start in life to become the adults and the leaders we need them to be.
What about higher education, four-year colleges, two-year colleges, as well as technical colleges? What does the future of that system look like to you, and where should the legislature focus?
Yeah, I think what I would love to see is a little balance. I think that for a while in the past, it was all seemed to be focused on the 4 years. Then it switched over, and now it's all about the tech schools. Well, we need all of them. We need the 2 years, we need the 4 years, we need the tech schools, we need all of those organizations working. I think my problem is when they stop focusing on one to choose to focus on another. That's going to cause an imbalance in the system. Right now we have a 2-year program in the Menasha area that's shutting down. That takes away an opportunity for an awful lot of people in the Fox Valley to utilize. A 2-year program is an option for some. So I think that starving any type of education program is bad for a community. We all, in our workforce development, we all need more teachers, we need more nurses, we need more doctors, we need more welders, we need more of everything. So why would we only focus on one of those 3 arms of education? All 3 have to be healthy, they have to be successful, and they have to be developing our future community leaders.
Do you think they've been underfunded?
I think that our UW system, there's no question. If you just look at the math, most candidates in today's race are graduates of the University of Wisconsin. And they will brag about how wonderful a program that was. When the older generation was in school, even my children, when they were in the UW system, tuition was a lot more affordable. The state was paying the bulk of the cost at the university system when I sent my kids to college how many years ago? When 50-year-olds are in the UW system, because the state was paying. We didn't have the amount of debt that we have now today. So if we go back to, again, focusing on what matters, we invest in those who will be leading us in the future. Education is a key to that. K through 12, and then all 3 versions of secondary education. And not everyone is going to utilize them, but all levels of our community need all levels of that education. So if we aren't looking at it as an opportunity and properly providing all of those access points to people, we're going to struggle.
What's the state's largest workforce challenge, and how would you propose addressing it?
Well, I think that we're short of people. That's the bottom line. I think there's a number of reasons for it. You could look at childcare. I think childcare is a great example. How do we get more people into the workforce? Maybe we should make it easier for people to utilize daycare services. It now costs, $1,200 a month to have one child in daycare. How do you take somebody out of the home to put them in a job where the compensation may only net them $1 an hour? That doesn't make any sense. We also have an issue with childcare that there are a tremendous amount of early retirees, late 50s, early 60s people that are retiring from their profession, which are their biggest earning years, by the way, for their own retirement. They're retiring to then take care of their grandchildren. So childcare is actually a double-edged sword. We aren't getting people to come back into the workforce when they're young and have children, and we are losing the older generation because they're now the built-in daycare for the middle family that's struggling to find the daycare.
Do you support extending the child care counts program?
I support doing all kinds of things and listening to many ideas to make it better. We often talk about the cost of being today. Every household at the kitchen table talks about cost being up. But we have to start talking about ways that we can actually bring the cost down. And the answer is helping them provide child care. I don't care where the dollars go as long as in the end the families are paying less for it and the children are given the care that they need to succeed.
Investments in public and energy infrastructure grow our state's economy. This also provides an opportunity to invest in our state's workforce, but currently there aren't any requirements for hiring local workers. Would you support a state resident hiring requirement for state, local, and utility scale infrastructure investments?
I love the idea of assuring the fact that we are providing opportunity close to home. Because the dollar that we spend locally, even if we had to spend $1.15, if we spent $1.15 locally, that $1.15 is going to be spent and respent in our community over and over and over again. If we instead spend $1 and we end up bringing in a crew from Pennsylvania, how much of that dollar is going to be spent here in town? Maybe a quarter, and we'll never see it again. So I do believe that's actually investing in our people, in our working families, and in our small businesses and communities on an ongoing basis.
Employee classification is an issue in the construction industry. Some employers misclassify workers as independent contractors or pay them in cash off the books. This lowers costs by avoiding payroll taxes and unemployment insurance, and it puts compliant companies at a disadvantage when bidding on projects. Plus, misclassified workers may be denied minimum wage protections or overtime pay. Are you aware of this issue, and what do you think should be done about it?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of anything that we're going to do to build a public structure, whether it be roadways, sidewalks, buildings. We better have the best trained crew, we better have the most compliant crew, we better have the most ethical crew. And that comes from ownership to leadership all the way down. So we should be following all of those rules. There are bigger issues with the 1099 thing. I know there are some industries, there are some people that want to be a 1099. And I think we have to be careful not to assume that all 1099s are bad. I don't think that's the case. But if there's a situation where we have organizations undercutting others, that's not healthy. It's not appropriate, and it shouldn't go through in our system.
Affordable rental housing is an issue in Wisconsin, and some have proposed government-imposed rent control to maintain affordability, while others argue keeping rent artificially low will decrease rental supply, resulting in increased prices. What's your sense of housing as an issue in your district, and what best addresses renting housing affordability? Is it rent control or building more rentals?
Yeah, housing is a big issue. It's a big issue in the Fox Valley. It's a big issue in the country. I'm a big believer that the only way to fix that is to increase the inventory. You must increase inventory in order to have more options, more people move. It creates an opportunity for everyone. It is something that needs to happen. I am not a rent control type of person. However, I do believe that investment must take place to get our housing where it needs to be. We need to be working with WIDA. We need to be helping our developers want to build reasonable, affordable housing, as opposed to a $600,000 house, which is a revenue positive situation for the builder. So we can utilize systems to make it more attractive for the developers, for the builders, to want to build the homes that we need desperately in the community. I think inventory is always the answer.
Medical systems are facing numerous headwinds in the form of inflation, workforce development, and issues around Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement, resulting in fewer services and even the closure of a hospital system in western Wisconsin. What would you do to preserve access to care and prevent future closures?
This is a major issue for the Fox Valley. The 18th District, we not only have our residents, our voters, but we also are the healthcare system for many, many, many districts that come to us for care. So keeping our systems healthy is really very important. Reimbursement rates must be addressed. There is a problem in the health system where we have our hospitals and our clinics that must take everyone. Whether we have money or not, they deserve proper health care. And then we have more and more of these private organizations coming to the side that tend to be pulling the full pay dollars out to those organizations, leaving the providers, the hospitals, with much more of the burden on the lower reimbursed rates. We can't do that. There are costs that are out of control in the health world. It is not the hospitals. It is not the providers that are causing that issue. We have to make sure that they are healthy. We have to make sure that they are there to provide the care that all of us expect and we need when the time comes. So we have to have things in place that say, you're taking care of our people, we will then take care of you. And whatever rules need to be adjusted to make that happen, let's figure that out. But let's do that with the organizations all involved together, as opposed to standing around a round table and trying to figure it out on our own. They know the issues. We need to be working together, all sides of the issues, to say this will work, this won't, maybe if we try this. We have to start having conversations and getting off of the opposite sides of the wall on it, no matter what.
What about mental health care? Is that an issue you've been hearing about, and what are the solutions?
Mental health care is a massive issue in every aspect of what we do. It's an issue in the schools, it's an issue in the healthcare world, it's an issue everywhere. So if we aren't talking about it as truly a national, if not a statewide issue, then we're missing the point. Now the question is, what are we going to do about it? Are we willing to invest in it? Are we willing to put in mental health specialists into schools? Our police departments desperately need help because a lot of the police calls that they're going on have to do with mental health crisis. So do we have the specialists available? Do we have the services and the locations available that we can then take those people and get them the services that they need, as opposed to the police departments trying to deal with it? It is in every bit of what we are in life right now. So to pretend it doesn't exist is wrong. To not realize it's something that we must invest in to try and help to make it better, we're missing the point. We must make sure we're healthy.
How should Wisconsin move forward on the issue of abortion?
Listen, clearly this is a sensitive issue. It's been 2 years now since we've talked about it. My opinion has not changed. It is an extremely personal situation. It is not my job as an elected official to sit in your doctor's room and decide what you should or should not be doing based on any given situation. And I wouldn't want one sitting in mine, my daughters, my granddaughters, my grandmothers, or my mothers. That's how I feel about that issue. We have to let women make the choices that they need to based on the doctor giving them all of the options available to them. It is most of the time a horrible situation, and the last thing anybody needs is wondering whether they should or should not give medical advice to their patient, who they are by law committed to giving all of the best options possible for their health. We should not be getting in the way or creating a gray area in the doctor's office. Let the medical professionals and the individual make the choices necessary.
What are the pressing transportation needs in your district, and how important are they to be addressed and for the state to keep on schedule with reconstruction of aging interstates and significant corridors of commerce?
Infrastructure will always be a challenge, right? I mean, in our cities, I would say that this almost goes back to a municipality issue, because we do have never-ending roads that need to be redone. We have pipes that need to be done. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into maintaining, and as we spread, our communities get further, there are more and more and more roads and pipes to take care of. So it's an issue that we are falling behind on, true story. Lack of revenue makes a humongous difference. For us to catch up, it's going to take an influx of cash from Madison to do it. County roads need help. City roads need help. Our highway system, we're living in the Fox Valley. We know there's highway action going on. We understand we're going to have 6 years worth of beautiful road building in our communities. But I think where people really get irritated is their local streets. Their local bridges are not getting the attention they used to. And again, that is a revenue issue coming out of Madison. Municipalities and counties aren't getting the dollars they need to keep up with their infrastructure promises.
PFAS and water contaminants are a concern for a growing number of Wisconsinites. Do you see this as an important issue, and how do you propose to address it?
How does anyone say no to that? The idea that yourself, your children, your family, or your neighbors could be drinking water that's contaminated is a dreadful thought. I know a friend of mine running up in the north. They have a 12 times higher percentage of developing cancer because the PFAS is so heavy up there. I think that everyone has the right and the expectation to have clean drinking water. I think that avoiding responsibility and accountability is not good for us because it's delaying the solution. It just delays it, which means more people are affected by those toxins. We are lucky in the Fox Valley that PFAS is really not based on our ground. It's not our issue. However, water and air is. We are surrounded by water. It is part of who we are to have water and air and green space around us in all aspects. It is the expectation of all of us as citizens that it should be healthy to live, breathe, and drink in this area. So again, we can't continue to put it off. There are parties that have partaken in the problem. Let's come to the table. We're not going to put it all on anyone's shoulders, but we do need to start taking action and remedy the situation, try to undo the harm that's been done, and definitely stop any more trouble from happening.
We are on to the final two questions. How would you describe the leading differences between you and your opponent?
I think the leading differences between us, I have spent over a decade trying to understand what goes on in politics. At a national level in Madison, I have worked voluntarily in advocacy, trying not just to support candidates, but to actually cause change. I have worked in Madison, I have worked in D.C. on tax issues, on retirement issues, on curing Alzheimer's, on mandating financial literacy in schools. I have been involved in making change in government. And by doing that, I've learned how little we actually know about how government works and how everything is related. Talking points are easy. It's very easy to point out a problem or something that feels bad. That's the easiest part about politics. The hardest part is understanding all of the gears that go into actually solving it and being willing to be humble enough to say, I need to know more. And then go in deeper and find out the information and then want to, with courage, with cooperation, find a solution that would actually make it better. I believe that is the difference between the two of us. Watching politics and actually being involved in solving problems is the biggest difference between the two of us.
Final question. If you're elected to the Senate and you have a magic wand that you can use in the state capitol on one issue and resolve it in a way that brings all parties together, what would that issue be?
On just one issue?
Only one issue.
I would take all the money out of politics. I really would. If I had a magic wand, I would take all the money out of politics and I would make all of us debate and do forums and show up in person at doors so people can look us in the eye, ask us who we are, and get a good feel of who we are as people, as their charisma, their knowledge base. Don't let commercials buy votes. Make us earn it.
Well, thank you, Kristin Alfheim from Appleton, the Democratic candidate for the 18th Senate District. The election is November 5th. Kristin Alfheim, thank you for talking with WisconsinEye.
Thanks for having me.
This programming is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Thank you for watching.